if you or someone you know has a burning desire to be on the radio, just hit me up with your idea and let me know what kind of resources that you are going to need to accomplish this. And really, that's my best advice to anyone doing a podcast. Always hit record. I ask people to shut up because if they start to talk it out, in beforehand, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. And then they will go on and talk about it. And then they basically talked it out, create reusable elements in your podcast. So I call them bumpers. I don't even know if that's the real word for them, but they serve a couple of purposes. One is telling your audiences how to get a hold of you or other pertinent information, but they can also be used to break up your show. This person does like a 6-hour show. First of all, there's no excuse for that. I mean, there's nobody who's going to sit there unless they're in a coma, laying on their floor, and they can't reach the dial. They're not going to listen to 6 hours of it. But in any event, you should try and break up your show into sections. The TED Talk rule is like 22 minutes worth of content, and then people their eyes start to glaze over. But it's kind of just like putting a little cracker in between to palate cleanser in between sections of your show, just to give people a chance to reset and re-listen. So clear some instructions on how to subscribe to your show.
Being able to produce something regularly. If you have a listenership, they're going to want to hear the next episode. They're going to want to hear what you have to offer. We all remember that darn 5-paragraph essay that was instilled in us in grade school. 5 paragraphs. You tell them what you're going to tell them. You tell them 3 things, and then you tell them what you told them. I mean, it's that simple. Determining what the focus will be, what the topic will be. And what I've always told people is to narrow it down as much as possible. I highly suggest having a guest, because listening to one voice for a half hour or for 60 minutes, as the host, when you do have a guest, you want to be able to control the conversation. Oftentimes, if you get what I call talkers, you ask them one question and they spend 10 minutes and they answer all of your 6 questions. And there goes your interview. You've now lost control of your presentation, really. And so finding a way to stop the talker in a pleasant way can be difficult. It's a skill. It takes some practice, but it's possible. A couple other things you want to keep in mind is to know your audience. And what appeals to them, what doesn't appeal to them. That's a difficult one, because especially in our area, well, in most areas, we have a very diverse group of listeners here in the North Coast, obviously. One thing that I always remind people who are going to be doing a radio show or podcast is to be yourself. Do not try to be somebody else because I have a radio show and I feel I have to be all important or, professional. No. Listeners are going to see through that right away, and they're going to tune you out because they know you're fake. Whenever you are recording, I highly suggest you listen to yourself. You are going to find that you maybe say after every word, and that is something that you need to be very in tune to and stop, because nobody wants to hear for 60 minutes you say every other word. I like to call myself a sound snob. Be a sound snob. Get those little things out, listen to yourself, know what you're doing. You'll get better when you listen to yourself, for sure. But again, start with listening to yourself and making it a point to correct some of those idiosyncrasies that we all have.
Doing this kind of stuff and recording yourself, and it's a muscle, right? It's something that you build up. It's not necessarily something you were born with or come right out of the box with. As in anything you do, you got to crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run, and all that other kind of stuff.
A couple of my other notes. Silence is good. A lot of times when you're interviewing, silence is golden. But a lot of people think that since it's radio, you have to fill the airspace all the time. So you have to keep talking, even though you don't have anything to say, or you're trying to think of something while you're talking. What ends up happening is you do a lot of ums, and stuff like that. Or when you're interviewing somebody and you ask them a question and they answer you with one sentence, sit there for a second. Silence is okay, even on radio. I'm telling you, if you do not come back with somebody who answers in one sentence or doesn't give you enough information and you silence them, they will continue talking. It's a great trick. Silence is golden in radio. Um, it's okay to be controversial. That's engaging. You piss people off, that's engaging. That's good radio as far as I'm concerned. One of the first shows I allowed to go on the radio was a woman who talked about flat Earth for an hour. And I can tell you it pissed off so many people that I still hear about it. Why did you put her on the air? I said it was interesting. She's a community member. She went through the training. She had something to say. She delivered it. Not everybody liked it, but they listened and they engaged. They came back to me and, yeah, I can't believe it. And I said, that means it was good radio. It was engaging. Now, granted, I don't believe in that. You know, I don't believe the flat Earth thing, but she put on a really good show. I mean, she made some points. I won't say they're good, but you know, it was engaging. I listened to it. You know, basically what you need is a computer or laptop, a USB microphone, like I got right here, and headphones, audio editing software. There's one called Audacity that you can get for free. Audacity, in my opinion, is not the best for beginners because there's a whole bunch of different options that you don't really need. A program that you can get for Macs only called Sound Studio, very user friendly, costs about $15, I think, and it's only for Mac. Like I said, edit out all the you know, edit it down for time, stuff like that.
We used to, before COVID came along, we used to have a podcasting class, and so a podcasting certification, as we call it, for members of Access Humboldt. For folks who really need this kind of equipment and really have you know, a good game plan, maybe a track record of producing stuff, you know, we can work something out to get you equipment. And the podcasting kit that we have here basically consists of this little mixer here. It's a 2 input that can be expanded to 4 inputs here on the end, and then send this to some other sort of recording device. Now that device might be a computer. It has a USB out, so it can go into a computer where you could record using Audacity, or you might just do a very simple, you know, digital audio recorder like the Zoom. You can do a podcast with the medium that we're on right now, Zoom. You know, you want it to be as dead as possible, so don't record it in a big, you know, concrete floor hall. Another one that we use a lot right here is the Yeti, the blue Yeti, and these things have been out for a while, so you can get them on eBay just for dirt cheap. I think they originally went for like $130, $40, and now you could probably pick one up for $50, $40.
Thanks so much, Matt and Nate, for an awesome presentation. And if any of you are interested in starting a podcast, feel free to reach out. Both of them are super helpful and supportive, and can definitely help make it happen. So thanks so much for everyone who joined us today. And stay tuned, stay engaged with Access Humboldt. We're going to have some cool events coming up, but this concludes our special member meetings for the summer. So thanks so much for your engagement.